Mandans were the earliest plain tribes. They separated from the Siouan-speaking natives, leaving the Ohio River. The Mandans migrated to the Missouri River, the section near the White River, which is in current South Dakota. Eventually, they migrated again and settled near the Heart River, which is in current North Dakota. They lived near the Hidatsas and the Arikaras, who had settled along the Missouri River.
By the 1600s, all of the Mandans had migrated to the Heart River, and the Europeans found them at this location in the early 18th century. The Mandans built permanent communities and lived in large villages in close proximities to the river. Their abodes contained a central plaza, with the largest plaza being 75 by 35 feet. They used sod as shingles and dirt covered the outside walls.
In the center of each plaza was a plaza with a fire in the middle, with a screened hole above for exhaust. The houses were built so strong that they could sit atop their roofs. The reason for their close proximity to the rivers was for the benefit of having fertile soil to plant and grow food. They planted corn, beans, squash, sunflowers, and tobacco. The scapula of the buffalo was used to make hose, while the antlers were used as rings.
The Mandans not only used buffaloes for labor and tools, but as a central part of their culture. The men would lead large yearly buffalo hunts in the grasslands. The men had special rituals before these buffalo hunts. The Mandans used bull boats for transportation. The boats were cup-shaped and made out of wood. Animal hide was stretched around the wooden frame. The boats were also known as coracles. They were mainly used to transport buffalo after hunts. Before the Europeans arrived, the Mandans used the method of driving the buffalo off of cliffs in order to capture, trap, and kill them. This was the most efficient technique, as the Mandans did not have any horses and guns before the Europeans came. Buffalo was used for clothing, as men wore robes of buffalo with deerskin shirts. Skin moccasins for shoes were worn in the winter. The women wore long-sleeve dresses that were made from 2 pieces of deerskin, with a belt at the waistline and leggings of deerskin. For ceremonies, feathers and fur were used to decorate the clothing of both men and women. It wasn't until the 1800s that the Mandans started wearing European clothing.
Along with food and clothing, buffalo were also part of the Mandans' religion. Corn and buffalo were very important during religious ceremonies, as women tribal members would do corn dances and men would do buffalo dances. Both these dances were sacred to the Mandan culture. The Mandans also had secret medicine societies. These societies recognized children going into manhood during the annual Okipa, which lasted 4 days. During the Okipa ceremony, young men fasted and received slashes on their backs, chests, and legs before being carried onto the roof of a ceremonial lodge. This would prove their manhood and produce important dreams. This ritual was called the Vision Quest. Sieur de la Vérendrye was a French explorer and was the first European contact with the Mandans in 1738. There were 9 villages at the time of his arrival. The Mandans were very welcoming to Vérendrye, and the Europeans arrived in the following years.
After 1738, many Europeans encountered the Mandan villages, and trade became a major part of the Mandan lifestyle. The Europeans introduced horses to the Mandans for the first time. The Mandans traded corn and foods for horses and guns. The Mandans were so open to trade that their culture changed drastically, as they now hunted buffalo using horses and guns. They also started using iron from the Europeans rather than the knives and arrows made of stone. Lewis and Clark were the next major European encounters with the Mandans. The Mandans allowed them to stay the winter of 1804 near the mouth of the Knife River. There were only 2 villages remaining. Carl Bodmer and George Catlin were 2 European artists that encountered the Mandan in 1830. They helped the culture be remembered as they drew the village life and the culture of the Mandan.
Only 7 years after these 2 artists encountered the Mandan, a smallpox epidemic was present among the Mandans. It is believed that the European fur traders spread this disease to the Mandan villages. The population decreased drastically from 2,000 in the spring to only 138 in the fall. The graph shows the steady decline of the Mandan population, with the greatest being during the fall of 1837. The Mandans suffered greatly from this epidemic, and the 138 survivors became a part of the Hidatsa and Arikara tribes, now known as the 3 affiliated tribes. The transition in 1845 to become a part of the 3 affiliated tribes involved moving 100 miles northwest from the Mandans' original settlement along the Missouri River. The 3 affiliated tribes lived on 4th Berthold Reservation in North Dakota. The Indian Reorganization Act in 1934 states the tribe's official memberships and has remained this way since.